In the beginning, kindness seemed like the right path. Everything I did was with the best intentions, carrying the weight of everyone's expectations around me, thinking it would make a difference, that it would make me worthy of recognition or, at the very least, respect. But reality was different. I was good, I was fair, I extended a hand whenever someone needed it. I waited patiently, convinced myself that kindness didn't need a reward, that it was something that came from within. But what did life do with that kindness? It stomped on it, threw it in the mud, and laughed in my face. Every time I chose the harder path, sacrificing myself for something or someone, the world responded with silence. And then I began to realize kindness didn't give me anything but a collection of invisible scars deep enough to mark my soul. Over time, I became a stranger even to myself. Kindness, which was supposed to be my essence, started to feel like a curse, a prison made of other people's expectations that I never asked to carry. When you spend your life expecting good to return, disappointment is the only certainty, and that's where the change begins, slow and relentless. Something inside you breaks, and that spark of kindness, that idea of justice, begins to disappear. Not all at once, but bit by bit. It's as if kindness were a weight on your back, a burden you carry without realizing until you can no longer move. At first, it feels strange to think that you could let go of everything you believed you were, but pain is a strict and silent teacher. It teaches you that not everything deserves your best, that not everyone will respond with gratitude, and that the world doesn't care about your intentions. And then one day you stop, you simply stop, and the silence of that moment is almost liberating, a silent scream of rebellion that says enough. The most ironic part is that the moment you stop trying to be good, things start to change. Not for better nor for worse, but in a more realistic way. You begin to understand that life isn't fair, and that kindness, in the end, is a worthless currency when the world around you is determined to take everything from you. Loneliness becomes a constant companion, and gradually you even grow accustomed to it. In fact, you come to prefer the solitude. It demands nothing, expects nothing. It's a silent presence that gives you the space to be who you really are, without expectations, without the weight of what others want from you. And for the first time, you feel something that might be the beginning of a dark freedom, an acceptance of emptiness. Kindness is now just a distant echo, a memory of what you once believed would make a difference. I know what you're thinking. So is that it? Was it all in vain? Maybe yes, maybe no. But the truth is, in the end, kindness is a road that leads to nowhere when the world around you is already filled with indifference. Life doesn't give back what you give with a good heart. It feeds off your hopes, your faith in others, until there's nothing left. And when you reach this point, you understand it wasn't your kindness that failed, but the illusion that it would make any difference. What's left then? What's left is yourself, in your rawest and truest form. What's left is a somber clarity, the realization that the world doesn't shape itself to kindness, it consumes it and spits it out like disposable trash. From that point on, you learn to protect yourself, to be cold, not for lack of feeling, but because you realize that being good is a vulnerability the world doesn't deserve to exploit. You become your own authority, impose your own rules, decide who is worth offering the slightest bit of consideration to. And in an almost paradoxical way, by letting go of the idea of kindness, you find an unexpected peace, a peace that comes from indifference, from the absence of expectations, from the understanding that kindness was never what would define your worth. It's in this emptiness that you find yourself, not as someone hardened by hatred, but as someone who has finally understood that to survive, kindness must be kept to yourself, like a rare gem that the world is not worthy to see. But the most intriguing part of it all is that when you stop carrying the weight of kindness, a kind of clarity arises. It's as if all illusions are slowly unmasked, one by one, and you see raw and simple reality as never before. The world, once tinged by the naive hope that good actions would yield good reactions, now appears as a web where everyone moves to ensure their own survival, regardless of the damage they cause to others. This new vision transforms you. Now you understand you no longer need to prove anything to anyone, that you no longer have to bend under the weight of others' expectations. When you realize the world has always been a game of interests, you start to develop an autonomy previously unknown. You learn to keep for yourself the energy you once offered freely. You feel free to maintain a safe distance, distancing yourself from what once consumed you. The result is a cold indifference, but not an empty one. It's composed of the awareness that the other side of kindness is self-preservation, and that to continue existing without being devastated by disappointment, you need to set a boundary. This indifference is your fortress, your barrier against expectation. Now, you don't easily yield. Kindness has become a scarce resource, reserved only for those few who have proven their worth. And, as ironic as it may seem, it's at this moment that you understand the true value of respect. Not the respect you expected from others when you acted with kindness, but respect for yourself, for your peace, for your space. This new state of mind distances you from past illusions and brings you closer to something more solid, almost invulnerable. When kindness ceases to be a weight you carry to please others, it becomes a conscious choice, a skill you control, and that no one else can manipulate. And that's where true freedom lies. When your kindness becomes selective, you gain power over who enters and who exits your life, who deserves the little you offer and who should be left behind, lost in the same indifference that the world threw upon you. It's a bitter irony, but by letting go of kindness as a rule, you find true dignity. By embracing the selective coldness, you start to realize that life has a different rhythm, something that only reveals itself to those who stop trying to carry others. Kindness, once the essence of every choice, now unveils itself as a tool, not a virtue, something to be used with purpose, controlled, and never wasted again. Instead of offering kindness as a constant, you observe the world's reaction before acting, waiting for the environment to prove itself worthy. You realize that with less emotional involvement, you not only preserve your energy, but also avoid the wear of disappointment. This process makes you redefine every relationship, every choice, every moment. Where once you saw an obligation, now you see an option. This new understanding creates a kind of respect for your own solitude, a strength that no longer depends on external approval. And the most interesting thing is that as your own life gains focus and autonomy, people around you start to notice the change. No longer driven by the need to please, you now act with a brutal sincerity, a transparency that arises effortlessly. For those watching from the outside, your transformation seems like a mystery. Those who once grew accustomed to your kindness feel the void left by its absence, but you no longer care. You no longer live for others to validate your worth. Every person who chooses to stay by your side now does so not because they receive something from you, but because they understand the silent respect you demand. And when kindness becomes a rare currency, only then does the world begin to value it as it should. This new perspective grants you a type of almost invisible power, a discreet but profound influence. Those who look into your eyes realize there's no more room for games. Every moment of your life now carries weight, a choice made with intention. And it's this choice to give or deny kindness that transforms into a new kind of autonomy.